Cheers. Hello, this is Rich from the Metal Cell podcast. I'm delighted to welcome a few of the lads from Aiséirí. Would I pronounce that right? Sounds right. There's a few different...
Okay. So clarification.
Aiséirí.
All Ireland metal project. Aiséirí is the first album. Clarification. Because initially it was just that, but then we ended up with 3 albums. So clarification. All Ireland metal project. And
All Ireland metal project. Okay.
Yep. And then Aiséirí is the first of 3 albums.
Yeah, okay, that makes some sense, yeah. So I have Tom, I have Darragh, I have Tony, and I have Shannon as well on audio. How are you, lads?
Good, thanks for having us.
Cool, okay. And myself and Tony have costume clashed.
Yeah.
One year's going to have to change.
Damn, man, I'm not going into the other room now and changing. I'm comfortable.
Maybe if you change the jocks. What colour are your jocks, Tony? Mine are black.
Oh, black, sorry, Richie.
Oh, God, how embarrassing.
Just take your pants off, man.
Right.
Nobody can see you.
I'm not fucking doing what happened on that podcast before where like Evan got his arse out or something like that months back.
You've no idea the shit went down in them podcasts, man. Fucking trees caught on fire, plants caught on fire. Jesus Christ. Lots of mad stuff. But anyway, deep breaths. We are here to celebrate nearly the completion. It's in the final leg. Darragh, would you say that?
Yeah.
Our media, I suppose.
Oh, yeah, and that's the tough part. That's why I have backup here, to get through the hard part. But yeah, no, man, it's we're nearly there now. So tracks are mixed. It's all ready to go. And we're just getting everything printed now and fulfilling the back orders, the pre-orders, which are, everyone who has bought what essentially were 2 tracks and an album cover. It's amazing. So thanks for everyone who pre-ordered based on that alone, man. Yeah, not to reveal too much, but it's over like €1,000 in pre-orders so far.
Wow,
and then the other direct donation for the involvement was $500.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how much we've made so far, and that's amazing. So
it is amazing, yeah. That's fantastic. And it's released on September the 17th, the album, yeah?
Yeah, so we had to push it back, just, Spotify being Spotify, but it works out kind of better, because I think there's a Bandcamp begging day on that day as well.
Oh, cool.
Is there? I'm not sure.
Every Friday. It's a Friday.
Every Friday,
It seems like every Friday. But no, we moved up the single release then as well for Lisa. So it all kind of worked out quite well and give it a bit more space to breathe. So 17th is the day the album drops on Bandcamp.
Mm-hmm.
Clarification though, you have to buy it on Bandcamp if you want the full album, because it's a charity thing. It will go on Spotify eventually, but we want to try and make as much money as we can for Bernardo's. So
totally understandable.
The singles will go up on Spotify. We do have a Spotify, and obviously it's linked if you go to our website, but you're going to have to buy the album. That's what we want to do.
It started as a charity album, so that's where it's going to go in that sense.
We want to make sure that the folks in Bernardo get as much money as they can, because let's put it aside, they need it a lot more than we do. And, COVID's been shit for everyone, but also shit for kids who have nothing. So at the end of the day, that's it,
So, man, you gave me 12 or 13 tracks. I spent the last 2 days up and down the beach listening to it, and past the beach test, past the walking test, it's just fucking, lads, it's just fantastic. It really is. The production, everything. Now, look, there's some tracks that won't suit everybody, but overall, as a compilation, the first album, it's jaw-dropping. Is the best way to describe it from my point of view, and thanks for sending them all on to me as well.
I think that's a good point that you made there. Like, it may not suit everyone, but the whole point of this first album and why we curated the first album was to try and touch everybody's tastes.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different genres on this album here, and like for me, there's some genres in there that I don't listen to, but I found myself listening to these tracks now over and over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And getting into that kind of style of stuff. So it's deadly. It's kind of some gateway bands, if you want to call it that. When you're younger and you might listen to whatever band, and then you went on to some other band. It's that kind of vibe. So, and it flows very well. I think I'm pretty proud of our track list, and the way it just flows in from start to finish is really cool.
Because I took it on just as a compilation, first of all, because I just said, look, fuck it. I know there's shitloads of people in this that I know personally and stuff, but I just dropped all that for last night, and it's a fucking awesome compilation of metal. You know,
Well,
Savage.
Look, I wouldn't call it a compilation as such. Like, I think that dilutes it a little bit. Like, there is that kind of thing where, like, you know, we submit a render track, or we submit a Zora track, or we submit a Resignation track, or whatever, and then they go in as a compilation, and they're all made by our own bands in our own way, to our own process. This was a creative work where everybody was actively working together to produce this. It's more of a
collaboration.
That's definitely the word.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, right? And Richie, I do understand where you're coming from, and it's fair. But here's the thing: when we were doing this, it wasn't like, all right, lads, you know, go fuck off and make something. It's like, oh wait, you want to be on this? Do you want to come on this? Do you want to, you know, all that kind of stuff. Where it's like we all work together. And there was that sense. So it's more of an album made by one band that tries different things or is in the same headspace, and that's more important. And that's why it flows so well. Now, with compilations, not only with Irish bands, but when you do get compilations, it doesn't have that flow because they are so very different. And what's cool about this
where you come from.
Yeah, and what's cool about this is, you know, we're all writing from the perspective of, right, we're going to write the best songs that we can, but also it's its own thing. Like, every one of these albums has that feel to it, has that authentic feel, which is something I just don't want to get downplayed as it's a compilation album, because it's not. Like, you know, if we wanted to do if we wanted to do a compilation, we would have done a compilation.
Maybe it should be worded somewhere just to push that point across a bit more. You know, that it's a collection of 12 collaborations.
Yeah,
I think you're right there as well, Richie, because you're touching on that as somebody who's outside of this project.
Yeah.
And we're so fucking close and close to it, you know what I mean? That we don't really know what the outside knows yet, or how they perceive it yet, you know what I mean? So by you saying compilation, and we're saying, no, it's not a fucking compilation, it's this, it's cool. Like, I get it where you're coming from. I think Tom was going to say something there.
Yeah, it's I don't want to say it diminishes, but like it was a collaboration, and I think the main thing that I found was like everybody was trying to write something very slightly out of their comfort zone, you know, and also kind of like there's a bit of wish fulfillment there. Like, you know, some people might have sang backup in a band. It's like, no, I can sing a song on my own, or whatever, you know, like you might have found somebody to collaborate on. Like, there's throughout all these 3 albums, there's loads of stuff where it's like somebody will write a song that might have been intended for a different project, and, you know, through whatever way, you know, it doesn't come to fruition in that project. You know, they mightn't like literally strip the carcass for like the whole song, but like it'll give them something else to work on and kind of push them out of comfort zone. Because there's loads of stuff here. I'm even looking at it, like Red Flag number 6 there. That's in a style of metal I just don't play ever. Like, but it's something I'd like to have done. But this is the first time I ever got to do it, and there's other songs like that for everybody else. So it is a kind of like compilation, but it's a compilation of everybody kind of trying to push their comfort zone a little small bit. And it's nice to be able to do it with people also that you don't know, you know, you never met, because it kind of makes it even more of like not like a dick measuring contest, but everybody's trying to bring their A game. You know, I don't think there's any straggling anybody else, kind of letting everybody else do the work. You know, it really was just kind of everybody going full tilt into it, you know.
For sure, man.
Shannon.
And that's why we got 30 something songs.
What's your two pence
Yeah,
worth for
I agree. It's really like, it's not a compilation. It is like a hive mind kind of that worked on an album. Yeah.
It became that, for sure. Yeah, at the start, it was kind of feeling things out. And then as we kind of got in and we're communicating more, and people are being more visible in the group that we have there, the Facebook group, and, you know, you're seeing more names popping up, and, you know what I mean, different characters working with different people or whatever, and you get to know people a bit more, and then you start to get exactly what Shannon said there, this hive mind kind of where we just think the same about how we're approaching stuff. You know, we may not be in someone else's team or whatever, I may not have a breeze about their team, but the common goal is to bring the A game, like Tom said, you know.
Yeah. And that's something that came out with the production as well. Like, you know, it was from the get-go, it was like, right, we need to bring this to a high production rate where it's like, it's not just a demo, and it was the way it was done as well. It's like we did demos, and then we're like, right, now record it properly, so that's kind of how it was done. It was done once we realized, oh, if we just run this the way we run bands and do it the way we do it normally, it actually works out. And that's what it kind of became. So we were like, right, let's we had a date where we're like, right, these are the songs we want, do your demos, get your teams ready to go. And as Tony said, it's a feeling out process. Like I tried to work with as many people as I can, but I didn't know everybody, I knew of people. And when you're trying to figure out, how they work, that was cool as well. But that's where it comes from. Like the first demos were more like less polished, let's put it that way.
Pre-production.
Exactly. Yeah, it was rough, and it's what you would expect from lads doing it in their basement, right?
Yeah.
But when we actually recorded properly and the gears really start going, well, then that's when the magic happened, because everyone's like, right, we know what we're doing here, we're ready to go. And then, as Tom said, it worked so well that we ended up with 36 songs.
It was funny because talking about deadlines, we got the deadline extended, and let's be fair, like most of the songs were there, but in that month of an extension, I think another 8 songs came in.
Oh man,
from the lads that were already.
Oh man,
we finished the day before the deadline. I think I was recording the vocals on that a day or two before the final deadline.
Those last 2 days, I was just hacking through tracks, helping people everywhere. Just like literally sat there for a week, just tracking stuff, and then like getting stuff in and following. I was like, oh wow.
Panic stations from people saying, "My fucking guitarist can't do it because they're doing the leaving cert or something."
Yeah, I can't walk into the room and ruin the take. It's going to take me another week to get it. Yeah.
And you're trying to find someone going, right. Like literally, you go in and you're just like slotting people in, and I would ring Tom and be like, "Oh look, I need you to do the drums. I'm sorry, just go and do the drums." Or you'd be like, going to Shannon, "Hey Shannon, how busy are you?" And he'd be like, "Very well. You're going to get more busy." And it would just be slotting people in to try and finish tracks.
That's what happened, man. I never forget Cormac Jordan getting on to me right at that, and he's like, "Hey man, can you do hardcore vocals on this track, on the grindcore track?" And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Tom was on it." I was like, "Tom's a fucking everything." I was like, "All right, man, yeah, what is it?" And then I'll tell you straight up there, Richie, like he goes to me, he says, "You know the singer of Baylor? Yeah. Can you do that?" I was like, "All right. Yeah, I can fucking try, like."
What song was that?
That was the Metal is PC now.
Oh, right, okay. Very good,
yeah. So
Jesus, I was shocked at that. Yeah, man, you did a great job now.
It was just gas, like.
But see, that's what I mean, Richie, like that magic at the last run where everyone's just slotting in and it becomes a full-on collaboration thing. That doesn't happen if you're just submitting tracks and then going, all right.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing, that when people are listening to it, it's literally, and I know there was some derogatory thing at the start of it with the Roadrunner United things, like, well, yeah, that's what they did and it worked really well. Yeah. So it is kind of that, collaboration.
It broke, don't fix it.
Exactly, yeah. And it broke down a bunch of barriers for us as well, because, there is that kind of thing where you're sitting there going, I don't know. You're just afraid to interact with people who you don't know.
Yeah, you don't get people's styles of working. You don't, because you have no FaceTime with them. But I know there's people now that like, you start to learn their skill set and like what they're good at and what they're not good at. Who's good at being like an overall project manager? Who's good at turning around something really quickly, who's takes their time but turns out something that's like amazing, so we've all started to learn. Like there's a list of how many people are in it there, 120 something.
Last time I checked there was 140, but I just capped at 120 plus.
So like, you look through all these names and kind of go, well, this guy are good at this, and like there has been bands formed from this. Like there has been. There is at least
and friendships as well.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. Working friendships as well, like real world friendships, where like it's becoming a little bit of. I used to always say the Siege to Limerick was like the Irish Metal AGM, but this is like the online version.
Yeah. Tom said a good one before actually as well when we were chatting, just in a kind of team captain meeting, and he had said, where even Darragh said the same thing too, where I may not have known Darragh, but I may have played gigs with him. But the difference is I don't have any perception of Darragh other than he got off the fucking stage sweating at that gig, walked by me. And you could say, well, he walked by and I says hi to him and he was a fucking prick. But, that kind of thing, something like that. Like, you don't get to interact with a lot of bands when you're playing. You're literally just off, fucking finish your set, cram your gear into wherever you're doing it, go off and
Ask
maybe
to borrow
chat
an
with your
amp.
mates. Yeah, exactly. Fucking
yeah,
like,
I know. Like that's
you don't
it.
get
Like,
much interaction. You know, I knew of Horrenda. I know Tom years, like through Zora and that. I never knew Shannon. I didn't know half of the fucking people on the project. And then I brought people in who the guys didn't know.
Yeah, of
You know what I
course.
mean? And it's deadly. Like, it's mad, the amount of friendships, exactly. And the same as if I was going to go, say, in the morning, if I decided to do a solo album, I could literally pull on contacts that I've met through this project here and say, Jesus, I know he's a really solid drummer, or, you know, whatever it is.
The range
Things
of
like
ages
that.
in it as well is hilarious. Like, I think the youngest kid is 15.
Moss,
He's unbelievable.
Oh yeah, it's Moss. Okay.
I don't want to dog anybody out who's over 40, so we'll just say that age bracket is there.
Yeah. Do you think that the Irish metal scene will be a lot stronger because of this release?
I think it'd be different.
Yeah.
Very different. Like you know, as Tony said, like, you know, when I walk off stage, I'm pissing sweat and I'm covered in paint and I can't hear anything or see anybody because I can't see without my
And you
glasses.
have paint in your eyes.
So, you know, and I've painted my eyes. And it's literally like, you know, you don't get to chat with them because you're trying to get your gear off stage, and and there's no, obviously, like, it's Irish metal, so there's no green room or none of that, so you can't like talk to anybody unless you're at sound check. So the fact you actually get to like talk to people and like work with people, it's like it just breaks down that whole thing. Like, obviously, like, we all, like, everyone here in bands has like running mates that you like gig with, you know, we all like, it just happens where you're like, oh, the lads, you know. What we realized through this, and what the main difference is, whereas like everyone's the lads, and that's important. And that's, I think, that's
these are the lads.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's it from? Is she a girl? Is she whatever it is from Scott Pilgrim's like, oh, is she a boy too? Yeah.
Yeah. I think
sex bomb or whatever.
I think what's really cool as well is that so obviously we've churned out now 3 albums worth of content, and we don't represent the entire Irish metal scene. There's a lot of you know, older lads there, more established bands, and what we were chatting about this one day was, wouldn't it be fucking deadly that somebody's more established bands, we'll say fucking Primordial or something like that, you know what I mean, or whoever, would look and say, fucking hell, them boys done whatever. Maybe some of us other lads now will do it. Do you know, maybe some of the lads fucking Crewcon will work together. You know, I know some lads from Crewcon are working on this project too, but like, wouldn't it be deadly to just see that people look at what we've done when they, I guess, take it seriously, is what I'm going to throw out there. Do you know, we actually fucking did this.
There's a framework put together there where, like, you know, we've a banner, an umbrella to release albums under, and like, that's kind of like, it's just a good thing to tie together. But like we're saying on that same call Tony's talking about, you know, the logical next step is to do this literally like the Roadrunner United, where it'll be studio time, real studio time. But like, this is a product of like the way the world is right now. You know, but still we managed to get art out of it. All of us have been sitting at home, you know, not being able to play gigs for literally 2 years and more, some of us. And then, you know, you have your creative urge kind of stifled just by, again, the way the world is. So it was nice to have something like this, but I think we can level it up. You know, we'll take some time to,
like, were you happy with the framework, lads, working within the framework? Darragh, you'd an awful big say in that framework. How did you find it initially? Like, I mean, you brought out Captains, which is a great call as well. So just briefly kind of go through that.
Yeah, like, obviously, you know, as Tom alluded to, like, we had to work within the world being the way that it is. And in Ireland, like, obviously, you know, we're still not out of it. Like, we're still mostly under lockdown. And so we had to kind of, I was just like, how can we do this? And it wasn't, like, I'll be honest with you, I would have much rather have just gone into a studio for like 2 weeks with people and been like, hey, let's just work on songs. But that being said, we still proved that it was possible, and not only possible, but like really good with, you know, just doing it at home and sending it off or something like that. And but yeah, like, obviously all of us prefer just working in with a producer in a studio environment where you're able to just play or whatever. But it was a learning experience for people. I know some of the folks on the later albums that, you know, obviously need to be fixed up. It's a result of not being able to fully get there. But, you know, if we're in lockdown again, or something like this does happen again, touch wood that it never does. At least it's there. And again, like, we pushed through adversity and made art and made friendships and made this framework, which, I'm just going to say the door is open if some of the bigger bands want to come in. They can do it too. And, I'm excited for if this comes around again, where, hey, we can just book studios for 3 weeks, for like a month and go in and do it that way. But it wasn't ideal, but we made it work. And it's a testament to it as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think it really helped as well. Like there's some self-professed introverts within the groups there as well who really got to, I don't know, come out of their shells there, as regards to some tracks. Some tracks I've worked on, and I won't mention any names because I don't want to embarrass anybody out like that.
Yeah.
But like those lads that worked with us that are just very quiet people, super productive and super talented, and just these hidden gems that are just hidden around this country. Do you know what I mean? With a proper setup at home. And
that is a good point, Tony. Like that's the one thing, Richie, that I'd say, and then I'll let the lads finish. If we had it done it the other way, like COVID-19 was horrific. Not going to say that it was a lovely time, but it's also kind of a blessing as well. One, we wouldn't have had the drive to do this if we're all gigging and recording. It just wouldn't have happened, right?
Correct.
It just wouldn't have. We would have just been like, oh no, man, I gotta, play these other. You just had time. But also, we still would have just known who we know, and we would have obviously forged friendships stuff. But having this at home, where you don't have to interact with people so much, you can just find those diamonds in the roughs, and there's loads of them. And again, it's also a damning combination of the scene as such that, like, beforehand, there were people just sitting at home playing, not joining bands. My hope after this is, yeah, cool, they could join a band, all right, but they'll also be able to release music. And that's cool. That's very cool. And there'll also be the infrastructure to do so, So yeah, that's a great point that Tony brought up, that, I never, so much good came from this, that, like, you can't just underestimate.
For sure.
There's
some people that would love to just go into a studio and they would thrive in that way. Like, for instance, there are some bands there. If you look at, I think for the song Negro Terror, the boys were in a rehearsal room recording. Very DIY way of doing it, but they recorded it. Tom recorded the drums in there as well. Not this time with Tom Moylan from Psychosis, and the boys were not the type of lads that were up on the level of home recording, but they got somebody else to record them. Do you know? So those lads would benefit even more by going in to, like, so say, track mix there with Mick Richards or whatever, or Josh or that either. Josh Robinson as well. Like, they could just go in, have somebody hit record and do the job for them, or produce the track for them, and then there's other people there who are just very reliable, very self-sufficient to say, yeah, this is what you want me to do, no problem at all, go off, come back and deliver, and take on the feedback and whatever. So, like, it's deadly that we've come out with like 3 albums worth of material from just pretty much being isolated, and some lads using the breaks and the lockdowns to get into a room together, or over to a mate's gaff or whatever it would be, and to come out with this level and quality of content.
Like, would you have also agreed that, like, some of those lads, as you said, Tony, some of these lads mightn't necessarily be in bands, or just don't want to actually play live and just be genuinely nervous about being in a situation.
There that haven't played in a band in 20 years. There's lads that never played in a band at all. There's lads that just hung up the bass or guitar, mic, whatever, and just said, fuck it, I have kids now, or I have to do whatever.
And still followed the scene from their homes and stuff, and came across this,
or didn't even just came across it. That's the thing. And that on the one hand, it's like, the level that it was at as well, where it's just like, you have people from all across the scene, all across the generations, but it's also accessible enough. That's one thing that I wanted to make sure was done, and I think everyone on the call here will agree that accessibility and gatekeeping went out the door from day one.
Oh yeah,
you
had an ego, leave it at the door.
Exactly. And that was, I had to say, by people dismissing it or something like that, that got rid of that problem from day one. So we started off going, oh cool, we're all here to do the same thing, it's great. So that was a massive benefit.
Worked out well.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Like, I know from, like, literally day one of the Metal Cell podcast, especially with the forums, I was always really saying, I wish Irish fucking bands would collaborate more. And you know, to see this come to fruition and have the production values that it has is jaw dropping. And, you know, it will certainly knock those that would have thought that it could have been sounding amateurish or demos and stuff like that.
For sure.
They can fuck off now when they hear this. It's just the level of musicianship and the production is just incredible. Like,
for sure, like, even to give you insight into that, like when we went through and we were checking, you know, the quality of the tracks, we went through every single one of them. We spent about 3 hours between us as team captains there, you know, the committee, if you would like to call it that. And, you know, pretty much I've had my songs nitpicked, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And been saying, man, the vocals on that, the mix is shite.
Yeah.
Needs to go back. And that's just it. It's not going on. It needs to go and work. Okay, that goes into that pile. That's good. That goes into this pile. And that's just how it was.
Yeah.
And that's how we curated then the first album, what is ready to go now? What's at that standard? What represents the project right now, straight out the gate? You know, hard hitters and so on and so forth. Like, and you'll hear that. You've heard that. You've listened to it. You know what I mean? It's undeniable.
Yeah. So we're going to go briefly through track by track, if that's okay with all of you.
Go for it.
Yeah. So the first track, I think it's easier to sing it than pronounce it. Wannamonagari. I don't know, man. Who's going to pronounce it for me?
What is
Tony.
it?
Go on, Tony.
I have to see the word in front of me. What is it?
Monogatari. It's easier to sing it, man.
Monogatari.
Here's some background to this, right?
Yeah,
so
go on, yeah.
Lisa initially was like, here, you know what you've done? I'm like, no. And she goes, well, you're going to find out when I send you this track. I'm like, what? So, that's how I was, like, my expectation was set on this. And I was not disappointed. It's so catchy. It was stuck in everyone's head for, like,
it's
ever.
been stuck in mine all
it's
day.
It's like if Cradle of Filth only played gigs exclusively in the George. It's
man. Jesus Christ.
So
that phaser on it. That just
So the people involved in this is Lisa Harris, lyrics, vocals. She's with Venus DeVillo. I've never heard.
Venus DeVillo.
Yeah.
That's her kind of stage name.
Okay.
Solo name.
So David Mooney was involved in the programming, synths, guitar, bass mixing. He's with Genova. Drums mixing, Michael Ugaski, is it?
Yeah.
Of Ravenlight.
Yeah, up north.
Yeah, and Chris Craig would provide additional guitars, and he's with Vendetta Love and Craving. So we'll give it a blast.
From Genova
as well.
I'm telling you, man, it's stuck in your fucking head. When I first, do you know how it came out was the drummer had recorded a playthrough and he had uploaded, we obviously have footage for a documentary and anything like that.
Cool.
And I was going in, I was checking over whatever it was months back. And then I clicked in, I was like, oh, fucking drums here or whatever, and I hit it in. Off Your Man Went or anything like that. And then this chorus came in and I was like, the fuck is that? And I was like, that's Lisa saying that. I was like, fuck.
Yeah, because she's such a strange register to her voice, you know.
She's got fucking power behind it.
I don't know what register it is, but it's crazy. It's so powerful.
She sounds like the same register as the lead singer of Synergy.
I can hear where you're coming from.
And every time I just hear it, I'm like, oh man, like it's unreal.
It's a theatrical voice.
Absolutely.
It is a theatrical voice. Yeah. Shannon, you were saying something there?
I don't remember what I was saying. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
She has a lot of power behind her voice. That was just a comment I was making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing as well, Richie, this was unanimously voted as the lead single.
That's
Unanimously. It wasn't even close. And that's no disrespect to anybody else. Honestly, it's just when you hear it, you're like,
Yeah.
It's so catchy.
It's
man.
got everything.
It's just the galloping,
Yeah.
It's just like power metal, you know.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, it is power metal. It's a great opener. Okay, so track 2 is Oleka. Would that be correct?
Oleka is the band name or the group name. We probably going to write more songs, but Aiséirí is the name of the song.
Okay, and you might talk about that, Tom, since you're involved in it yourself and Jack Pender.
Yeah, no problem at all. So Sean Doyle is a guy that am I allowed to say what band he's in? He's in a tribute band for he's the bass player in the Ghost tribute band.
Okay, yeah.
And they're called Host.
Host.
wow. Oh, wow.
Cool.
But so he had this song, and it was one of the first ones that I got put into the Facebook page. And I was just going through everything, clicked on it, was like, wow, this song is fully formed. You know, and it was as easy as that, and I just started tagging people. Ended up tagging Jack to do vocals, and we just kind of worked on an arrangement of it ourselves. Got Dave from Curacon in there as well. Darragh was involved initially as well, and then I can't remember what happened. I think it was just there was enough guitars on it.
Yeah, I was literally like, lads, you have all this done. I'm out. Like,
and the truth, man, you booted him out. He wasn't reliable.
That's true. Well, I'm terrible. I'm terrible organising.
Terrible at organising. Fucking shite at putting metal projects together.
Yeah, and Jack, of course, is with Rotlust, LNT.
Yeah,
and
formerly of Dead Aeon. The amazing vocalist. But he was in a weird register because like we were sending demos backwards and forwards and kind of going. I was like a primordial kind of thing, you know, and I was trying to do like that real kind of operatic thing. It's not my range. It wasn't in his range either, but we managed to settle on something that kind of sounds like the ocean, that kind of thing. So it just ended up working out well because there was demos and like failed demos of vocal takes, you know. So it was another kind of thing of like you got very comfortable with working together, you know. And as I'm sure a lot of groups did, you know, that there was a lot of failed things. Yeah. But this one worked out really well.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite tracks of the collaboration. We're gonna have to come up with something.
The project.
The project.
Yeah.
Okay.
Project is a better word.
Yeah. Okay, we'll have a listen here to it then. Justice, but as I said, we need to keep moving on. But it's definitely one of my favourite tracks on the.
It's project. Cool. There's an orchestral thing going on through it. It's a really dynamic song. I love it.
It's ironic as well because Dave lives literally 4 minutes from me, and he's the only He's one of the only people I didn't work with on the album.
Now you can call around it in the back of the head in the morning.
It's literally hilarious. Like
we were working on a song together, and we had been in a band for a year. In Curacon, and
of course, yeah. Jesus, I forgot about that. Fucking
that's gas.
It's funny.
Okay, so track 3 is Downer. Then you're going to talk about that. Connor M. James, Jason Christie from Words of Burn is on drums. Kieran Coughlin from Corrosive sang. Is that correct?
Yep.
And Alan, of course, mixed it from Zahora as well.
Any bad?
Any info on that, lads, that you can
pass?
2 great lads, Jason and Connor. I've worked with them on tracks separate as well. Very consistent, great guys. That tune is just lethal as well. It has a real sugar vibe.
I couldn't believe it was Kieran singing. I was like, but why did you get Jens Kidman to sing on it?
Yeah.
From Ireland.
That shocked me as well, that Kieran was singing. And
But your
tell us
man
about
Connor James.
Connor James, yeah.
He's going to pop up all over this.
Yeah,
He's
he's
just
a
like
dark horse.
dark horse, diamond in the rough, came out of nowhere, and he's like,
Yeah.
I have 8 million songs in my head, and it was amazing. He's
Oh,
just
he's
like,
None of them are shite. That's
yeah.
And bands, it's down as Bonfire and Organ, is that correct? That he worked on before he was in?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
Man. No,
I honestly don't know.
no idea.
He must
For
have submitted
Connor, is it?
that information himself.
Yeah.
Shannon?
Connor was
Minor.
in a couple of different bands like before.
Okay.
I must pick his brain someday.
Yeah, so a perfect example of somebody that just came out of nowhere and had like some great songs.
100%.
Yeah,
Hell
cool.
of a guy, unbelievable musician, and you know, one of the big highlights of this thing as well. Just been like working with him, and you know, as the lads are saying, he's all over these 3 albums as well. So
Yep.
Cool. Okay, we'll give it a listen here then. So this is Downer. I was talking to Jason, he's on this week's podcast with Words of Burn. He said, fucking hell, he went into maths equations and all from the sugar.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
doesn't it sound like a B-side off fucking Nothing or something like that? doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Crazy, man.
Yeah, it is crazy. Okay, so track 4 is Extreme Metal is PC now. Get used to it. Boomer. Okay, so fucking
Yeah.
the title alone is out there. So
Yeah,
Tom,
that was Cormac, I think.
Yeah,
Cormac
that was-
came up with
That's
that.
all CJ. So CJ's sense of humor, CJ's everything.
Brilliant.
This was done. This is one of the first ones on this album that was done in the extension, extension period, the period of extension, and
Tony, you're involved in it as well.
That's
Yeah.
how I said I got drafted in then.
You
for
got
the hardcore
drafted.
vocal, just because it was like, here, man, I have this track and I need a hardcore vocal, and I was like, he'd said it in our group, and I was like, I'd throw my hand to that.
yeah.
And then that was it. Then and he sent me over the track, and I was like, that's deadly. What do you
Again,
want?
started as a joke. It was like, yeah, let's write a song that's like
Yep.
90 seconds long, and he had it done overnight. So
And
it's
it's
good
quality.
quality. It is
One of
quality, yeah.
my favorites.
Yeah. Is
Yeah,
it really?
it's
Yeah.
just class.
I just love tunes like that. Like I've listened, like loosely listened to grindcore throughout my life. Do you know what I mean? At some fucking stage, right, like that. But I never thought I would feature on a track, and that's
And
the joy
I
of
don't
this
think it even
project.
is grindcore, but
Yeah.
it's just like, you know, there's a sense of humor to this, and there is
To
a
it.
sense of humor to a lot of songs on the
Yeah.
album because you're just
Yeah.
like, hey, let's have some fucking fun with it. Not everything needs to be serious. So this
And
is like
have-
the first one.
And have any of you met Cormac before?
Oh yeah.
oh yeah,
Okay,
No,
that's
years,
fine.
yeah,
No
man.
years,
No,
okay.
yeah, you know him years. He's sure he's in Horrenda once, but then again, every second person was in Horrenda.
Yeah, he's Eternal, wasn't it? Darragh was.
He was. He's
He's
in
a
Ice
band.
Journal as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll give it a listen then. Track 4 then. So this is Extreme Metal is PC now. Get used to it. Boomer. Fucking classic, man. I love it.
It does
bass-
kind of
bass
Seth
tone is
Putnam me
whopper.
as well, yeah.
Which,
Those kind of sound Seth Putnam me, you know.
man,
I just love at the end of that track. It's just Tom's.
Track 5, Otis, featuring Jamie Murphy, Fire in the Sky. Darragh, over to you.
Yeah, this is just this. Yeah, like I didn't intend this to become an aborted air track, but kind of did. I know this is cool. Like initially, the whole working together thing. The second Atlas album was supposed to be like featuring loads of people.
Yeah,
and this is one of the very early ones that I had because obviously I got distracted by doing this project, so I didn't finish the Atlas album. Shannon, do we have it like almost done? It is like it's like 60,
Yeah, I think
70%
I'd say
done,
it's 2/3 of the way there.
But this is one from it anyway that we just really liked, and it's like, oh, cool, I can put this in here, and it's a super fun track.
It's a fucking brilliant track. It's another one of my favorites. I love the dark wave through it as well, man. It's just I just wasn't expecting anything like it, and just the way it took off from the start. The synth at the start is brilliant, actually, as well.
Shannon did a phenomenal job with the synth.
Was that you, Shannon? Fair play, man.
But also with the mix of it as well. Like there's some really cool things that happens to Jamie voice where like he's singing and then this weird like this decoded bit crusher is through it, and I'm like, oh man, it's so cool. So when Shannon showed me the mix, I was like, oh man, that's so much better than it was.
The vocals are a real standout for me on that as well. The track, the construction of the track is cool. But overall, it's one of the more different songs on the album as well.
Absolutely,
which is cool.
Yeah. Again, it's just another, as you said, variety of it. Okay, we'll give it a listen here. So this is Otis featuring Jamie Murphy, Fire in the Sky. Better give a shout out to Keith as well on bass, who worked on it as well.
Totally forgot he did bass on that, and then I listened to it, I'm like, of course that's Keith. I was like, oh, of course, yeah, because he did, like, he actually did that's what I'm saying, the Atlas album is pretty much like almost there, and he did a rake of bass tracks. So when I was going through my Mac, I'm like, oh wow, the track's there, and I was like, yeah, it's Keith. So yeah, no, he did a great job. Although Keith's like the most consistent bass player I know.
And diverse.
Yeah.
He's a machine.
And diverse, yeah.
Okay, so number 6 is Red Flag. You might talk us through that, Tom, who was involved and the story behind it.
Yeah, Dave Fogarty,
Thoughts of
Ruin, Iburn, and all that kind of stuff. My own cult. Ronnie from Words That Burn, myself, and then James Wynn, also of Thoughts of Ruin. But I can't remember how this started. I think Dave just got in touch with me, and I was like, "Yeah, let's have loads of fun with this." And then Ronnie did his thing over it. It's cool. It's like I think we're doing a video for it pretty soon, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I really like it. Like I said at the start, it was like style of metal I've never played. You know, with all the syncopated kicks and all that kind of stuff. I'm usually just like straight ahead blasting. But yeah, I love it.
Is Dave on this? Or not Dave Fogarty? Dave Matthews isn't on this one, no?
No, that's on album 2.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Red Flag, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's a really good song, actually. Yeah, really enjoyed this one as well.
It's like the most like roadrunner track of the whole thing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Ronnie's vocal brings it into that realm, I think, and Dave's love of new metal.
It's brilliant though. Like I think Dave Fogarty's like one of the best songwriters who I wasn't aware of, and I'm like, holy crap! Like it's brilliant. Like
he's great.
He's great, and like everyone's. Actually, Tom, when I found out you were drumming on this, I was like, that's not Tom drumming on that, is it? Because it's so completely like different, you know. But it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's great.
Josh did a great mix as well.
Yeah.
Before it is
And it's
For
a
sure.
shame, it's a shame, like, because we weren't sure if this was going to be the lead singer or not. But at least this one just was what
Blew
it
us
was.
away.
It did, like as I said, it was unanimous. But yeah, I hope you lads do make a video because it's such an absolute banger. Great track. I love it. Yeah, my new metal is shown. Yeah, whatever. I was 13 when like Limp Bizkit and stuff came out. Of course I like new metal. Come on.
Well, like
Funny, the guy James Wynn on
There's a
bass is
resurgence
a lad that went to school
that's-
with me.
there is for sure, Richie. But there was a really good point I want to make here as well. The easy route would have been for, say, Roney to turn around and say, let's get Jason from Words That Burn do the drums. Do you get me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of this cool stuff here where the likes of Tom has went on that, and that's not Tom's style, we'll just say. Do you know, I don't want to pigeonhole Tom into like he has a fucking type that he can only play or that he plays all the time. But it's so cool that he features on the track and not somebody who you'd fucking think would be just, oh yeah, he knows him and he just puts him on.
See,
it,
that's
you know
it.
what I mean?
You didn't just go to your mates. 'Cause that's
You didn't
what
just go to the guy that you
I
have.
honestly thought this whole thing was going to be me and Shannon doing 15 tracks. That's what I thought. And I thought at the worst it was going to be that because I'm like, no one else is going to go for this. And obviously that didn't happen. So, but, you know,
Yeah, it's fucking testaments to everybody involved, really, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so track 7 is Gargoyle. Anyone want to talk through that?
Well, I know Martin, or Marcin as he goes on Facebook there. I know Martin from
Awaken Dominion, is it?
since we were fucking young lads. When we were in rival bands to one another. Precursor to Asect, when me and Aidan were in our first band. Awaken Dominion were the Mullingar boys. And then we were in our band then, Kashan at the time, the Longford boys. And we always played gigs together. But there was always this thing saying fucking Westmead fuckers, you know, and they're the fucking dickheads from Longford Town, you know. But yeah, Martin on vocals there, that's really his wheelhouse, you know. But you don't hear him as a vocalist very much. He always was a bass player and Awaken Dominion when we were growing up, and that there was a lot of different bass players in fairness in Awaken Dominion over the years. But he had featured then on and off as a kind of vocalist with them. And then I think they've went the route now where they've 2 vocalists, something like that.
Okay.
But I think J.M. Burr is on it from Lugosi.
Yeah, that's right.
He's doing Theremin. He's
yeah.
another fucking amazing singer. It's cool that he just actually went in. I think he done the opening spoken word on that. He done the Theremin as well, but he's a great singer in his own right for that kind of Slayer-esque vocal he can do as well. I don't know if anybody's heard him do that style.
No, actually.
But I'm not too sure who else is on it. I think that,
Simon Cochran was the guitars.
Simon I met through the project here. Didn't know who the fuck he was.
Black Moon Aeon.
Yeah, and Indominus was another band he was in as well. An amazing guitarist. I think is Mark O'Brien on this, or did he record?
Yeah. No, this is Mark's like track.
Mark's track.
Yeah.
I know
Jonathan Parmenter, was he in Stone Sea? He played bass in it. Jonathan Parmenter. He's a hard guy to figure out, track down. I think
I only know him from looking at his video footage. I don't know the guy.
He could be now solo, but there is a reference to Stone Sea. I've heard of them.
Here's a prime example of the collaboration side of things, right? Like, we'll say for the likes of Martin there, I think Martin went up and he tracked his vocals with Mark. Do you know what I mean? So there's just a prime example of where some lads thrive having somebody else to maybe record them or produce the vocals, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get the track across. So that was really cool.
It was cool. It was cool seeing this from, like, obviously, you know, Mark's guitarist of Veranda, so we'd obviously be talking about the track, you know. So I got to hear this through different stages, and it was really cool to be like not involved at all with the track, but hear the collaboration as it was going through.
Fly on the wall.
Like, check this mix out. All that goes, yeah, exactly. And you're just kind of sitting there going, oh man, that's class. And then I went and I poked Simon for a track that's on album 2 because he's like a phenomenal guitar player.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
I was like, man, yeah.
It's another hidden gem.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Damien Dzeknik did the drums on this.
Oh, dude, Damien does loads of drums. Like, Tom, you win by doing the most drums, but I think Damien comes a close second.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah,
very much so. Yeah.
Okay, we'll give it a listen. This is Gargoyle, track 7.
Like a boat running around upon a reef, the the modern world will occasionally butt against a remnant of the ancient, causing great consternation. When this occurs, the flaws of humanity become apparent. The inability to accept the unfathomable matter, and the futile attempt to control it.
Any idea who produced it, lads? It's fucking
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't it Mark?
Was it Mark? Yeah.
Yeah, Mark did it. Yeah.
Wow, Jesus
Vocal
Christ!
is crazy. There's a touch of decapitation in some of those gurgly bits, you know. Amazing.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one again, it's a really cool song. I really like it. It's Local Man Ruins Everything. Carl on vocals there. Tom again. Do you want to talk about that? Just you're on a fair few now, Tom. Come to think of it.
I didn't. I think it's like 12 or something like that. 12 songs, man. But yeah, Local Man Ruins Everything is a Simpsons reference, and I think it's like a cutout of a newspaper snippet that Homer's in, where he's like backwards on a donkey and the donkey's kicking a cake. Local Man Ruins Everything. But this is a song that me and Connor and me got together like before all this, just writing a couple of songs. I think we might have 4 or 5. But this was just one of these songs where he was like, I think we were after kind of writing 2 or 3, and he was like, all right, you're pretty good. Now play drums to this. And then I couldn't, so I programmed really hard drums, and I'm still learning. But yeah, so it's I've been with this song for a long time, and it was really cool to hear all the vocals come together, and the lads did all that in one day.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was myself, Carl, Hytham Martin, and Connor. So
tell us about Hytham.
Fuck me, man.
Hytham's such
one
a
of
cool
the best
dude.
singers. Like,
And he's such a
he
cool
was in the
dude as
band
well.
Eyes Closed way back in the day that had the potential to go far, and I think their label or their manager fucked them. And they were touring with Bullet for My Valentine, Sepultura, everybody. And Hytham has just one of the best like rock vocals I've heard in this country.
Yeah.
It's just what happened, right, Richie, was I got drafted in to sing on this track. Well, I kind of invited myself in to put it fucking bluntly. Connor had threw it up and says, I have this track. It kind of sounds like Tool. And
it does,
I basically am looking for a clean vocalist. So I went in and says, can you send me the track? I wouldn't mind throwing my hand to it. I've never sang to that type of track. Sends me this fucking 8-minute long thing. And I'm just like, right, it's 8 minutes long. Fair enough. I said, right, I'm up to the challenge. Sent me a message about 2 minutes later then saying, Carl and this guy, Hytham Martin, are all over this. I just thought I'd let you know. Just out of respect for you, I think they want to roll with it. And I says, well, I'll throw you one better. I says, I know Carl years, and Carl has been after me for years to sing on a song together, but we've never had the opportunity, so what about now?
Yeah. So
I messaged Carl, said to Carl, hey, this is a story. He says, 100%, do you want to just have at it? This is outside of my wheelhouse, but I'd love to just try it out and see if it works. Because we were past the deadline at this stage. It was the
really?
deadline.
Okay.
This was another
deadline. It was another one of these that just came cooking in the pot, like.
Fucking hell.
So basically, we started demoing vocals. I led the charge on the vocals, and I threw out what I could hear in my head, and I came up with the catchy, kind of hooky chorus vocal. So what happened then, anyways, was Connor the Dark Horse had already fucking written stuff, but he wasn't confident enough to say it to us that he had an idea. So we were coming in with these other little meandering kind of ideas and that, but he had already kind of had a foundation there, but he didn't say it. So he says, have at it then. Why don't we all go into a studio together? Because we're going to have to record. We'll hash this out and we'll get it done for the deadline. So we went in, and Connor had never, ever in his life ever sang in front of anyone else. He's one of the shy guys that I was mentioning out of this project. So sorry, Connor, I've outed you. But he basically went in, he had these vocals that he wanted, he had sent us on little snippets and that, and I says, they're fucking deadly, like, and do you want us to sing it this way, that way, or whatever? So went in, started hashing out ideas, and it came to doing the verses then, and then I turned to Connor then and says, so you hopping up and singing or what, like that? And he was like, huh? And I says, well, you sang on the demos and it was fucking class, so your song, so why don't you? All right then. So he hopped up, threw the mic in front of him. He had watched us do our takes, a couple of takes at that stage, and he watched us. He went through, and no word of a lie, like, went straight up and complimented on it. Said, you probably don't even realize how good you are at singing. You probably don't even realize the techniques that you're doing there. You're doing this, that, and the other. You know, not going to bore everybody, but he was doing some really cool techniques and vocal. And then he turned around to us and says, that was the first time I ever sang in front of anybody else in my life.
Wow, fucking hell. That's incredible.
That was it then. And off we went. So basically what happened was we were all taking turns sitting in the chair and recording one another. I went and recorded my chorus vocal, if you want to call it. And I listened to it and I went, I don't fucking think that does it justice. So I just turned, and this is the whole point I'm leading to, was about collaboration and not having an ego. And I just said to Hytham, I says, will you sing my part? And he was like, are you sure? And I says, I have no fucking ego about it, man. Like, I've written the part. I think it's cool, but I don't think I'm delivering it. And I think if you deliver it with your type of vocal, it's going to make a good track great. So he was like, all right, what are the words? These are the words. This is the melody. And he went in and just fucking nailed it. And then it just is class, like. And then we just started experimenting then the whole way through then with harmonies and this and that and the other, and going, fuck, I hear something. So there's benefits obviously to working at home, and there's benefits to being in a room together.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, fuck me. So.
And were you there that day as well, Tom?
No, I was recording drums for something else.
It was all the singers.
It's a banger.
And of course, Alan then mixed it. Then he did a fucking brilliant job, man.
Yeah, it's great.
Class.
It's great.
Okay, we'll give it a listen here now. There's definitely a Tool vibe. There's a bit of Alice in Chains. There's a few things going on there.
Definitely Alice in Chains, and like the parts with Carl are just like, what was that bit where like you were recording it, Tony? You were doing like a camera phone video, and like he hits this note, and the camera just starts going.
Oh yeah, he goes, "You be fucking star," and he hits
and
this,
just like,
and the fucking camera just shits itself. It's like you know when somebody sings and they shatter a fucking crystal glass.
Yeah. He wasn't long after the heart attack. After that, man, it's fucking crazy.
Man.
Like
what?
Like, yeah. The heart attack, and
well, I know that, but it was before or after the
this
recording.
is just not long. He had the heart attack before, and this is him. The first time
he was singing back. Okay, yeah.
He messaged me, and I'm like, please be careful. You know, don't do anything that, you know. I was like, "Are you sure can be able to?" He goes, "Yeah, man."
I'll share something that happened in the room when we were sitting there, and it was brought a tear to our eyes. We were sitting and we were after tracking everything, and we were sitting at the end and texting the significant others saying, right, we're finishing up here or whatever. So we played it back one more time anyway there, track had finished then, and Carl turns to all of us in the room. He says, you know what, lads, he says, if this was the last track I ever made, he says, and you know, God forbid what happened. He says, I'd fucking die happy, man.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. There you go. Fucking
something else.
Yeah.
There you go.
So Tony, you have the lead on the next one. It's Make Them Suffer. Give us an insight in relation to that. There was a few few heads here that haven't been mentioned yet.
Yeah, so it's actually myself and Stephen Cannon from This Place Hell.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Stephen and Simon Cochran basically had, well, it was Simon first had thrown it out on the group to say, I have this Doom style track. So Doom, the computer game style track. So like a couple of years back, there was this guy called Mick Gordon who'd done a soundtrack to Doom Eternal, I think it was. And it's a very heavy fucking just riffy guitar. And he says, I've something to the liking of that. Does anyone want to jump on board? So Steve jumped on board. And then I said, fuck it, I'll hop on then, because I'd love to collaborate with Steve. Myself and Steve had worked together in our jobs when we worked in a broadband company. And basically, we'd always wanted to collaborate together. We played gigs together. I played gigs together when I was in ASEC as well and that. And I wanted then to basically work as well with Veronica from Neon Empire for a long time. So we brought her in on drums. So what had actually happened on this was we originally had programmed bass. And we didn't have a bass player. But one of the other teams that I was in kind of got deprecated. And Thomas from Black Shuck, who I know from playing the Metal to the Masses.
Yeah,
and playing
Bloodstock bass player.
Fucking unreal. So we pulled him in last minute then to do bass. But yeah, we basically want to do a kind of trade-off kind of vocal. You know, we didn't know where we were going with it or what to kind of do with it. You know, we'd done several Zoom calls and we structured the song, but we didn't know what way to go with it vocally. So Steve sat down then one day and he wrote a chorus, which was the Make Them Suffer chorus then. And we kind of, I don't know, just sat in the call then kind of hashing out ideas back and forth and lyrics and where should we go. And I just went in and says, well, fuck it. The game is the whole precursor to it. It's about this game. Let's just fucking roll with the theme.
Yeah.
So I went in and threw in, there's about 3 or 4 90s fucking game references in there. Primal Rage is one in there. Do you know, like they're snuck in, do you know?
Oh man,
Killer Instinct.
Oh dude, can I just say, I was listening to this walking through Dublin the other day. I'm like, oh man, this is so good.
Yeah.
Killer, you guys did a great job. I love it.
Oh, it was
But
so fun.
now I'm going to go back and listen to those references.
That's it. It says
Yeah.
a Killer Instinct, the Primal Rage, and I was like,
those lyrics, Darragh, will be all available as well on Bandcamp. Yeah,
Will they?
I don't know.
we'll have to do that.
We'll do it now.
I'm hoping.
We'll do it now. Yeah, well, hopefully. Yeah, we'll do it now. Oh, Colin's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you
Shannon has left the Zoom party.
Yeah.
And
But
who
yeah, it was
produced it actually, lads?
Josh
okay.
done the mixing it there, so yeah, for
Should be the last. So this is Nathan's. Again, the production, fucking hell, nuts.
Yeah, Josh is great for that kind of real slamming kind of.
yeah, for sure.
Absolutely slaps, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they do say it does slap.
Yeah.
Okay, so track 10 is Negro Terror. Was this the first or second single?
This is the first one.
First one.
And CJ gets the credit for getting across the line with the most successful song first. So, that being said, it is a killer trash track.
Oh, it is, absolutely.
And I didn't even know Jeff from Saint Slaughter produced this. And I'm like, what? Jeff's in this?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, it look, it's straight as you go. killer trash.
Yeah.
And that's what the lads do.
The mix does it justice, like it really fucking hits the mark. Like,
it for a while it was the most accessible track that was there, and it still kind of is. You can bring people in, but it's cool. Like, if you're a trash fan, you're gonna like this one. But it has like people who I don't think work together, and it's also north and south as well. Because like the
Johnny Gray,
Johnny is there. He's working with CJ, who was in a bunch of trash bands, and then Tom, who's the trash drummer. Like, so it's class. Like.
Yeah, okay. Let's give it a bit more. Live, fucking
and it's anything more thrash metal than that group in the three notes.
Oh man, it's funny actually. Right? We were shooting the documentary. Well, we're kind of doing it in bits, but we were doing the main bank of it there in the Grand Social a couple of months ago. And CJ was being interviewed, and I was obviously listening to the interviews because I wasn't like doing them. But I do know the origin story for this one actually. It was supposed to be an Autominated track, I believe, and CJ was like, "Oh, it's on my hard drive."
Yeah.
So yeah, it is one that needs to be played live. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's got that bang off it. Track 11 is Tauren. Maybe Tom, do you want to take this one? Colin Bolger's involved. He's on guitars and synths.
I remember there was a saga to this that this was started pretty much straight away, and they just got it done. It was just one of those songs that took a long time, but I know that Tomas. Why did I say that weird? Tomas. Who's like is the young guy? He's like Thomas.
You saw the father.
Yeah, I saw it and I panicked.
He saw
like
the father.
But so it's like he was the vocalist on it because like Colin was sending me over a mix. I was showing stuff to him as well, and I was like, "Who's that fucking vocalist? What's the story?" He's like, "He's 15." It's crazy. But Colin did the mix as well, and it's I think it really suits it. It's really like Neurosis, and he loves a bit of Neurosis. So
yeah, it's sick.
Sean is on drums. Sean O'Brien, do you want to fill us in on him, Tom?
I've never met him.
Okay,
but
interesting. Yeah,
Colin,
he did a great job.
Reached out to him. Yeah, it was great. It sounds really, really good.
And Keith from Horrenda, Darragh's on bass as well. It's an unusual mix there now, to be fair. Well, it's another example.
Example of where Colin didn't reach out to Tom.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I was telling him not to, almost as a point, like, don't just reach out to me, And then it ended up on one song on the next album that we have half Azora playing with Carole King.
Yeah, but that's all right. That's forgiven.
Oh yeah. It's funny actually. It's funny that you mentioned. Well, before you jump in, it's funny. Right? I didn't know any of Zora before this.
No way.
And now, none. Like I knew of them obviously, and I've been a fan of their stuff for a while. I just didn't know them. And now I'm tight with pretty much all of you.
Yeah,
that is crazy. That is amazing.
It's hilarious. Like it's really funny.
That's class, man. Okay, give this one a blast. 15. Fucking ridiculous. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's a cool song. I love the way Colin plays the guitar. I just always love it. And the way he plays synth as well is weird. He just always picks out notes that like nobody else will pick out. Probably because of like not growing up and learning theory, but it has stood to him so well because he just makes outsider noises, you know.
Without going too far down memory lane, right? There was a girl that I went to college with. I went to Ballyfermot College for 2 years. And
Lisa went
off
there
the
as
back
well,
of that, that's how I actually met Lisa. Lisa didn't know that I knew her. So I'd
seen you from afar.
So I joked with Lisa when I first met Lisa. She used to play acoustic under the name Venus the Violet, and she was a year ahead of me in college when I started in first year. I remember hearing her play before, and I was never as terrified as a woman day in my life. The fucking just this theatrical fucking just an acoustic guitar in herself. Do you know what I mean? But
she owns it as well. She's crazy.
Going off on a tangent here, right? But the point anyway that I was trying to make is it's just gone out of my fucking head. When I was in Ballyfermot College, I'm trying to think of where the fuck I went, where this fucking point was.
It was about Colin.
Lack of music.
It was about outsider choices and music.
It was basically there was a girl that was in college with me who was unfucking believable on piano, but she decided to pick up guitar halfway through the year. She was just like, fuck it, I think I'd like to play guitar. And then she started playing all these weird shapes and chords that she didn't know what the fuck they were. And Ronan, do you remember Ronan O'Reilly? You would have remembered Ronan.
Yeah.
So Ronan had basically turned around and says like, whatever you do, Emer is her name, don't learn how to play guitar. Because if you learn, you'll dissect everything apart and you'll start to write normal. You'll start to understand why you're doing X, Y, and Z. Just stick to what you're doing. And she played sax, she played fucking loads of other stuff, you know what I mean? Just completely off the wall, like. But I just remember that, just what you're saying there about Colin not knowing the theory and playing the synth and just picking these bizarre notes that maybe don't make sense. She did the same on guitar and wrote these just amazing tunes. I was just jealous of it.
It'll fit if you make it fit, you know?
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of that, and especially on like the second album is weirder, I would say. And the third one is kind of more like the first album, but there's a lot of that kind of just strange choices, you know, eclectic or whatever, you know.
Okay, Shannon, we'll leave this over to you. Track number 12. We couldn't think of lyrics, so we ripped off Huey Lewis.
This one was like, this one almost didn't happen because like there was, I think something just happened with people just couldn't, the team wouldn't form. And at the very, like once we got the extension, Jim Spillane came to me and was just like, here, can you record me and Kira Hayes is the bassist on it. And he was just like, can you record us? So I came in and kind of just sat down with whatever mics I could get my hands on and recorded them. And afterwards they were like, right, so now we need to do some vocals. Who are we going to get for that? Actually, Shannon, you can do vocals. And I was like, okay, grand. And we took like 2 weeks to write lyrics, and we wound up literally sitting down after having just watched American Psycho and gone, you know what? Do you like Huey Lewis in the News? So we literally just ripped the lyrics from Hip This Be Square and tossed them over the song.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Please don't sue us.
Shannon, that was all done remotely,
that was done in person because I actually live in a shared house with Kira, and Jim lives just down the road.
Oh, right, okay. I didn't know you were actually living in Cork. Ah, that was handy. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm old enough to remember Huey Lewis, so I got a great kick out of this one. Let's hear it.
I used to fool around, but I could take a punishment, and I had to settle down. Set the beat square. Set the beat square. Set the beat square. Listen to the set the beat square. I want you all to be. Set the beat square. I'm working out every day. Set the beat square. And what I need. Set the beat square. They told me that it's
Yeah,
Love it, man.
that's brilliant.
That's
Shannon
there
has
won't
a
be
song
any
on like
legal
We
every
made the
battles
album.
joke
with this
that
one.
Shannon has a song on every album, and they're all like just the most, just the craziest thing inside of his head. Must be like a weird haunted playground or something.
I think I was
Fucking
drunk a couple
crazy.
times as a kid.
Me too, bro.
So
Yeah.
that basically is the closing track, isn't it, Darragh? Would that be correct in saying?
Yeah, although I'm starting to panic. Go Spotify. Don't think it's covered. Please God, don't think it's covered Spotify. But yeah, no, it's a close. When it does eventually go up on Spotify, it will be as it appears, and on Bandcamp there will be a cover of a bonus. There'll be a cover of Money, Money, Money by Josh on that one for Bandcamp, because Spotify don't like covers. So
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
And we'll have no money for the children if we get fucking sued. So
exactly. Please don't sue us.
please, for charity, lads.
Yeah, and shout out to Kieran and Colin and Steve and Lindsay as well, who did the artwork for it.
And a hell of a job they did.
Yeah, fair fucks.
Absolutely unreal.
It's really unique.
Yeah, so we want people to hit Bandcamp to buy the merch and pre-orders. Yeah,
for sure.
So we're start filling the pre-orders. Like, obviously we're working on getting everything together now. So look, the best way to do it is to do the pre-orders, because then we'll be actually able to get it made and shipped out to you in time.
Yeah.
We're going to do like an extended run as well, obviously, of the merch as it's going through the project. But that's kind of as you go. Now here's the thing, I wanted to bring up one thing before we wrap up or whatever. Initially we thought this was going to be one album, right? And people probably bought it with the expectation of it being one album. One, I'm sorry it's not one album, but you wouldn't listen to a 35 track album. You just wouldn't. There's no way. But also, breaking it out that way gives us an opportunity to make even more money for charity and also let the stuff breathe. So here's the thing. If you've pre-ordered the first album, or if you buy the first album, I'm going to be sending out codes to people at like a €5 discount for the rest of them.
nice.
Because I think that's fair. So we will work that out as well. So, just again, like I honest to God, hand on heart, I thought it'd be me and Shannon making 15 tracks, begging people to appear on them. That's what I thought was going to happen. I didn't expect to have 35 tracks.
And Tom didn't expect the fucking drum on 22 of them.
And this thing, I was like, they were looking for team leaders or whatever, and I was like, no interest in being a team leader, la 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 la, and then just ended up being on like half the fucking thing.
And you've still got more to be on, like.
Shit,
Yeah.
I get you that song, man.
Tom's exact word was, when got asked on for the committee to be like the shot callers near the end, once everything was done right, that was like, thank you for the opportunity, fuck you for the responsibility.
I think that's a sentiment shared by everybody.
Yeah, I don't want to be that guy. The people go, fuck you, man. Why is my track not on album 1? You know what I mean?
The relief of having the lads on the committee, where it's just like, grand. I'm only kind of the bad guy here.
You're only one of the
20%,
5.
Can we put it on record? Like, we didn't put fucking tracks on the first album because we were on them or anything like that, in case anyone fucking thinks
that wouldn't have made a difference to me.
Because he's on fucking everything.
But that's how you ensure you're on the first album, by being on everything, right?
Just spread themselves around.
Spread them out.
Many hands lighten the burden, lads.
Absolutely.
I know, but seriously, like, if anyone pre-ordered the album, like, seriously, people pre-ordered it with 2 tracks or 1 track at one point, and it's amazing. It really is. And look, it's really cool to see that people have supported this, and that, when you see that, you're just going, whoa, that's going to do a lot of good. And I know the Bernardos have been our charity for this album and for 2021 in general, and they're like super thankful. So, we'll see, obviously, how album 2 turns out when it's done, and we'll get that out. But what I'd say is, don't be hesitant. Order it. If you're holding off on the one album, you will be looked after with album 2 and 3. That's for sure. But again, it is for charity. We're not keeping it. We're not taking a penny from this. No one is. It's going straight to charity. So
if you've listened to this podcast,
absolutely,
and you like the tunes that you've heard here, then you're in for a fucking treat when album 2 and 3 come.
Oh man, album 2 is mad though.
Not just put all the good stuff here, right, and like that.
Yeah.
And
that's one thing. And that Tony's right. That's one thing we tried to do. we didn't just front load the first album. Album
Yeah.
2,
Oh, yeah.
3.
That would be a mistake.
A lot of
yeah.
thought
I mean,
my
went into this.
absolute favorite track
A
is
lot of
on
thought went into
album 3. Like, it's like some of the best
Yeah.
ones are
Okay.
later.
And that's one thing that we tried to do. Like, people going, "Oh, why is it on it?" Well, it's like maybe because it was our favorite track and we wanted to put on an album or it be other people.
You got to spread the bangers out, you know.
Absolutely, that's what we went with.
There's a lot of
Spread the
bangers.
bangers out. There are
Many bangers.
But as I said, going by this, the first album, first release is fucking outstanding. There's something there for everybody. Production, the playing, the musicianship, everything is fucking top notch, and it's a credit to you. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Thanks,
and it's fucking great to see that it's coming out on the Friday the 17th of September, the All Ireland Metal Project. So show some fucking love and support Bernarders. Thanks to Tom, Tony, Darragh, and Shannon for coming on board.
Cheers.
Much
Thanks.
appreciated.
Be here.
Thanks for having us, Richie.
Pleasure. Thank you.
And support your local metal scene. Cheers, lads.
Thanks.
Cheers, man.